Hey everybody, welcome back. James here again with you, and today I'm going to show you how I tuned my new Venturi Avenger 177 cal PCP using Crosman Premier 7.9 grain hollow points at 35 yards. So let's get into it. So this Avenger came to me out of the box set at 1900 psi on the regulator, and my initial out of the box grouping video, the pressure and the hammer spring did not want to work well because the hammer spring was screwed all the way out and the pressure was set probably a hair too high when all the pellets that I shot in that video were over 1,000 feet per second. So what I did was I turned it down as far as I could go without closing the regulator, and it's still set at about 1700 psi. And now I'm just going to mess with the hammer spring settings in this video at 35 yards. Now you're probably wondering, well James, what if I don't have that gun? How do I tune a PCP that has minimal or no adjustment, or if it's not regulated? This gun is regulated. So if you don't have a regulated gun, the best thing to do if you have no adjustment or very minimal adjustment is to start at the highest field pressure you can go and shoot your way down with the certain pellet that you're shooting, and see and mark on the target exactly which pressures that fell into that group. And that's going to be the simplest and easiest way to do it, to find the sweet spot for your air gun. It doesn't matter if you have a chronograph or not, because that's not going to tell you the exact pressure you need. That'll just show the consistency of the pellets. So now I'm going to show you the shooting again at 35 yards. 4 different groups I took, 3 shots each just to get it tuned in. And I'm starting at, again, the 1700 psi mark, and I back the hammer spring all the way out again. So let's get into it. 0 turns on the hammer spring, 35 yards, Crosman Premier hollow point, 7.9 grain. Ooh, that's pretty good. Half turn on the hammer spring. Not bad. 1 full turn on the hammer spring. There we go. Not bad. 1.5 turns on the hammer spring. Wow, those were laser beams down there at 35 yards. Dang. So you see here, I started up with 0 turns on the hammer spring. Here's a half turn, and here's a full turn, and here's a 1.5 turn. Now these groups at 35 yards, some of them can be covered by the head of a dime. So Roosevelt's hair can cover the group. That's how small they are out of a 177. Not the dime itself, but the hair of Roosevelt on the dime can cover the group. Now as you see here, it started tuning in, and I hit and found the accuracy nodes of each. Now I know what you're going to say, well what is it shooting at? What velocity now if they were shooting at 1,000 feet per second or more before in your initial out of the box video? Well, believe it or not, they're still shooting at 1,000 feet per second, even at 1.5 turns at that 1,600, 1,700 psi mark. But the thing is, it's not the velocity, it's the pressure. This is different than at 1,900 psi and no turns in on the hammer spring. Big difference when you're shooting high velocity and high pressure, or high velocity and low pressure, and then the amount of air which the hammer spring helps open the valve to the same volume every time. So again, I just wanted to show you a regulated gun at 35 yards taking 3 shots because it's regulated. They're very consistent. It'd be different if I was shooting an unregulated gun, which I would shoot, again, 5 shots here at the starting pressure and then work my way down and mark the groups at the exact PSI I started at. And that way it'll tell you if you're getting a group like this, you should start at that pressure in the air cylinder, not all the way filled. So again, there's a lot more variables to it, but if you start out at 0, you know, that's the best way to start, to me, in my opinion. 0 hammer spring setting, and find a good velocity so you get a good shot count also, like in this Avenger. And you're probably going to also ask, how did I know that the pressure was too high? Well, a lot of the pellets did not want to shoot well. Again, in the out of the box video, if you guys watch that, they just did not want to group up, and all of them shooting over 1,000 feet per second. And I know this gun is very powerful, and it's still shooting at 1,000 even tuned, but the groups are a lot tighter, as you noticed. So more times than not, sometimes you just have to turn the gun down. It's not because the pellet can't withstand the speed, high speed. You have to find an accuracy node. And I personally don't care about whether I'm shooting under 1,000 or over 1,000, but I could probably shoot over 1,000 again and find an accuracy node if I really wanted to. I just don't really care to. But you can see they're still shooting at 1,000. So anyways, everybody, I appreciate you watching. I hope you got some tips about getting your air gun tuned in with or without a chronograph. Again, that doesn't matter because of pressure. You have to find the right pressure and match the correct volume. If you don't, or you do have adjustments. So that's how it is. Whether it's regulated or unregulated, you still have to find the sweet spots. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. I appreciate it as always, and I hope you subscribe if you haven't. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks again for watching.